In 21st Century Fox's last movie of forever, Dark Phoenix, there is a little girl who's scared and can't really decide what she wants to do. No matter what somebody tells her, something always pulls her into that direction, regardless of what she wants to do. Same thing happens with 21st Century Fox's writing process. They write it before talks of Disney buying them out. They're like, okay, let's do this. They start filming it. Then there's talks of Disney buying them out. Director Simon Kinberg, he changes the script up a few days before every time they shoot. So nobody really knows what's going on with the script of Dark Phoenix while they're filming this. And then they get to the editing room and they just look at this and they're like, fuck. We don't know what this is. Congratulations, writing team. Congratulations, editing team, because you made another Fantastic Four. Which is sad because it's literally your studio's last movie. It's what people will remember you by. I know Logan was a great movie. You know, you really thought outside the box with that one, but that's not what people are going to care about. They're going to care about how you go out. Nobody cares about the first seasons of Game of Thrones. All they care about is how the last one ended. And look how that turned out. Same thing happened with Dark Phoenix today. And I'm going to tell you why I think this, and hopefully you guys can agree. If you do, head on over to our Twitter, appleboxpodcast.com/ABP_podcast, and talk to us. Let us know your thoughts on the Dark Phoenix. Let's just get into it. So yes, Disney bought 21st Century Fox, and eventually, I mean, I've talked about it with Brian before. Not sure if I've done it on the podcast, but X-Men is going to be brought into the Avengers universe in a few years once the, rights and everything, the patents get transferred over to Disney, which is in about a year. And then this whole multi-universe that they've built with Endgame will eventually lead into X-Men being connected to Avengers with the Secret War. It's going to happen. I just got to say that now on the podcast before it actually happens. That way we were the first ones to say it will happen, We're like prophets of the modern world. Instead of going to your house and healing you, we just go to your house and tell you what studios are making. It's a 21st century prophet. Anyways, before I get into the review, I just want to say I am drinking a brew today. Just dudes with brews talking about movie reviews. But it is a coffee brew, not a beer brew. It's still a brew. It's brewed. Got to get hyped, All right, and with that giant gulp, let's go into Dark Phoenix. So, if those of you who aren't connected to the modern world, Dark Phoenix is about this character named Jean Grey. That's her real name. Jean Grey begins to develop incredible powers that corrupt and turn her into a Dark Phoenix. Now, the X-Men will have to decide if the life of a team member is worth more than all of humanity. Which is, that pretty much sums it up, actually. This is just like so Fantastic Four. Beginning of every Fantastic Four, they go into space. They even the relaunch of Fantastic Four, they go into space, they see like this giant flame ore or whatever, it like hits them, a solar flare. I don't know what it was, but it hits them and gives them superpowers. Same thing happens here. Jean Grey does have superpowers before she becomes the Dark Phoenix. But they go up into space, and this happens within the first 10 minutes of the movie, so I'm not spoiling anything. She goes up into space, she sucks up this giant flare, and it gives her stronger powers, essentially. What did I think of it spoiler-free wise? The writing is god-awful. There's just lines where I'm just like, why? Mystique has this, it just comes so out of left field. I'm all about the women's movement. We here at ABP are all about the women's movement. Anybody who isn't about the women's movement can get the hell out of this studio, okay? Tom just left. We don't have anybody named Tom that works for us. But Jennifer Lawrence's character Mystique says something like, all the women do stuff around here. You guys better start calling it X-Women. And it just comes so out of left field. She's like talking to Xavier. It's just things like this that just piss me off in this movie. Just the writing is so bad. There's so many corny lines like that. That's not the worst one. It just came out of left field. I was like, what? That's just one example. The writing is just so bad, guys. It's so sad because this is the last movie and it's shit. I'm just so disappointed in 21st Century Fox. They should have just honestly just pulled a Logan. Have it dark. They kind of did. No. Kind of. Like Logan is like chopping people's arms off and shit. Like that should have happened with Dark Phoenix, bro. Give Sophie Turner a rated R X-Men movie, dude. That'd be lit. The fact that Sophie Turner's character, Jean Grey, she can't decide anything. She's like a little girl, but she's like literally 23 in this movie. She's like grown up. She can't decide anything for herself. Xavier's like, I love you. This alien creature that comes down to Earth is like, he hates you. And she's like, oh, okay. And then Xavier's like, I actually love you. And then she's like, oh, okay. And then the alien girl's like, actually, he hates you. And everybody hates you. Use your powers for bad. And she's like, oh, okay. Like, it happens like 5 times. She just can't decide anything for herself. That's just the whole point of the movie. Is her trying to decide who she is. But she's not even doing that because she's just a confused little girl trying to find her way through life. And it just pisses me off. I mean, IMDb gives it a 6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it like a 43%. We'll get into my review at the end of the movie. We'll go into our own box of apples as far as our review system. But as far as right now, I'm not liking it, you know? It's not a good movie. Yes, you do need to see it because it essentially wraps up everything that they've built, but it doesn't. It's ass. So let's get into the character beats, everything that's going on in this movie. People on the streets start calling her Dark Phoenix as soon as she consumes this radio flare. Cyclops is like, you know what people are calling you, right? Dark Phoenix. And not just like it said once. It's just so corny, dude. Cyclops says it once to her in the beginning, and then at the end of the movie, she just becomes a Dark Phoenix that just apparently just circles the world. That's just like her purpose in life. That's who she is now. Just like the whole love thing with Jean Grey and Cyclops is just so shitty. Like, this is not how people love one another. She's a confused little brat that doesn't know what's going on. Xavier hid things from her when she was a child, like about her father still being alive. She gets little triggers now and then, like PTSD. And she gets crazy and she like becomes angry and just like does things when she blacks out that she can't remember, and she hurts the ones that she loves. Which is so fucking stupid. She's... Just everybody in the audience is literally laughing in the theater when this shit happens. The first freak out is like the superhero party on this island. There's like a fire there that like pops, like a little small explosion, and then she like gets fucking crazy, and she like, Cyclops is like, it's okay. She explodes, and then she wakes back up in the X-Men hospital at the university, and Cyclops has a little bruise on his face, and she's like, oh, I can't be here anymore. I'm hurting the ones that I love. And so she leaves because Cyclops has a bruise on her face. And also, I think she figured out that Xavier's lying to her about her past at this point too. So she thinks there's only one thing left for me to do is go see my dad. And so she does that. The only good thing about this movie is literally J-Law, Jennifer Lawrence, her character, Mystique, and Beast. Their love story is literally the best thing in this movie. And it just works so perfectly. I wish that could have been the way for Cyclops and Dark Phoenix, but it isn't. Mystique is afraid of Xavier because it basically wants the X-Men to work for him to have like mutants be accepted in this world. But really, mutants aren't accepted in this world because all the X-Men are doing everything that Xavier wants, when Mystique just wanted to, like, you know, go live off somewhere else with Beast, have kids, and just like have a normal life. But that can't happen with Xavier's plan. Which is a great conflict to have. Like, why can't you transfer that over to G? I don't know. Something needs to change, but that's just like a great conflict. That's the only thing that worked in this movie. Mystique wants to go have this life. Everybody's just questioning Xavier because he just wants the mutants to be accepted in this world. And so Jean Grey goes off. She goes to see her dad. She comes to find out, she reads his mind. The dad didn't want anything to do with Jean Grey, obviously. She had powers. She was a lost cause. So she got really mad, and she like made her father fall asleep. She made people fall asleep about 20 times in this movie, I swear to God. That's how she got away with her problems. She just like blinked or whatever, or like tilted her head, and then like people just fell asleep. But anyway, she does that, and then the X-Men come because they realize that she's going to be going to her father's house. And the X-Men go, and she's like, I can't control it. I need to go away. And then they're like, no, we can help you. Because she realized that her father doesn't love her, she's triggered, and she like wants to explode, and so she can't control herself. And Mystique's like, no, you can't control yourself. I'm your best friend. She like touches her shoulder, and then Jean Grey fucking explodes, and Mystique goes flying into this wood fucking spike like Mortal Kombat style, and it impales her, and she dies there. And Beast goes up to her, and he's all like, what the fuck is happening? And then they fight Jean Grey a little bit, and then she flies up She's like, I can't do this. And so she flies up into space or somewhere. She just flies straight up. While this is happening, apparently asteroids fall from space onto the ground, and they're aliens that can shapeshift, and they can also like, they just have like god tier powers. They can just like raise their hand, and then a person can just like be scrunched into a ball, and they can also like shapeshift into other human beings. And they also have super strength and can super run, and they just have everything essentially. Honestly, they should have just taken over this stupid ass world, because fuck it. It's the last movie, and honestly, if they destroy everything that is being written, that's just amazing, because this is shit writing. Jean Grey goes over to Magneto's house, his place of solace. And she's like, I need help. And he's like, I can't help you. What's that blood on your shirt? And she's like, I can't tell you that. I need help from you. And then the SWAT or whatever, the FBI comes in to Magneto's place and asks for the girl. Jean Grey like fights the helicopters off. She's like, brings like the blades of the helicopter and almost killing the officers. And Magneto's like, no, don't do it. And he's like pushing the helicopter away. And then all the men get on the helicopter, and she like pushes it away, and then they all fly away. It's a really stupid ass moment. And he's just like, I'm going to ask you one more time before you need to leave. Who's that blood on your shirt? And she just like leaves. She's like, I thought you could help me. I guess you can't. Nobody can help me. And she flies away again into the sky, into space, somewhere. She just flies up. Again, the only thing that works in this movie is Beast and Mystique's character. Beast heads over to Magneto, obviously, because the other smart head, Xavier, is a bad guy now, apparently. Beast heads over to Magneto's place and is like, hey, like, Jean Grey literally killed Mystique. And so Magneto, of course, loves Mystique, or loved her at one time, and is pissed. So now they have this plan to go kill Jean Grey because she killed Mystique. And then Xavier reads their minds, Beast's mind, and they head over with Nightcrawler and who else? Cyclops, because he loved her, and Storm. So they head over to the same place, and at this point, Jean Grey has made this giant friendship for this alien. And she's learning to control her powers for bad. And this giant fight scene just takes place, which is, it's all right. The visual effects in this movie are just some of the best. But unfortunately, that's the only thing going for this movie. So they fight. And then Magneto says this stupid ass line, I know whose blood that was on your shirt. Now you're gonna die. Like, so bad. It's just like all these corny lines happening, and it just makes people in the audience just laugh out loud. And it's supposed to be serious, and it's just so sad. Jean Grey gets pulled in another direction when Xavier tells her that they like have a little flashback memory of him telling that she can decide what she wants to do with those powers. She can do it for good or she can do it with bad. And then she switches sides yet again. But FBI or CIA or somebody comes in and steals her into this giant ass train. And the final battle is just on this giant train with a whole bunch of these alien dudes that came from space trying to go to the front end of the train. Why not just start on the front end of the train? Why do you have to like jump onto the back part of the train and work your way forward? I don't know. Maybe they didn't know where she was, but I mean, I feel like they would, but they don't. So they go through this giant ass train, killing all these military personnel. The X-Men are set free to protect the military. This is just like when they all get set free, they all like huddle up and like they all have superpowers. And then Xavier just like is in his wheelchair and he just like puts his hand to his mind and he's like, oh yeah, shit, I can't literally do anything because these people aren't of this world. I can't read their minds. He's just so pointless. He's essentially worse than being a military dude because he doesn't even like ask for a gun or anything. He's pretty shit, actually, when you think about it. What is he even good for? Just being a professor and creating X-Woman. He's good for that. And they just have this giant fighting scene. Everybody now is in the mode of protecting Jean Grey because they now know that the aliens want her powers. Stupid, like, Nightcrawler. He's trying to protect this military guy for some reason, and he dies, and he gets super mad. And he hasn't killed anyone ever yet in this movie. And he just, like, goes berserk, and he just starts killing all these aliens. I'm just like, what a stupid ass fucking... He gets mad because this military guy died. Okay? But he had, like, no emotional connection to him. And yet he just rages after it. And I'm just like, what the actual fuck is this character? He's so shit. There's just a whole bunch of shit character development. The only thing they got going for them is, like I said, Mystique and Beast. That's the only thing they got going for them. Which, by the way, IMDb's pretty trash. The movie's literally called Dark Phoenix, but Sophie Turner is literally like the fifth actress, the fifth character on here. Like Nicholas Hoult, Jennifer Lawrence, Michael Fassbender, and James McAvoy are all before her, even though she's literally like the first character. It's pretty shit. I don't understand IMDb sometimes. And then, of course, in the end, Jean Grey takes this alien woman that wants her powers that she befriended but is now enemies with into space. She like explodes her. And then there's like this stupid ass like narration, like freaking, like we just finished watching Transformers, you know, with Optimus Prime. This is our world and we will defend it together, or whatever stupid ass narration happens. Literally every Transformers movie. Essentially, she's just like, I now know what my purpose is. Sometimes it's not about what I want, but what my prophecy wants. Literally, the X-Men Academy is now called like Jean Grey Academy, and Beast is now Xavier. Xavier's retired, chilling it with Magneto. And where is Jean Grey, the movie that is about her? Well, she is floating in space as a giant, fiery Dark Phoenix, because that's what her prophecy is. To just watch over Earth as a Dark Phoenix. As a phoenix. Why? But it is. Why can't she have a happy life? Why does she have to float through the fucking space as a giant phoenix? I don't understand it, guys. I really don't. Here's the problem. It's not that the movie is bad. It's the fact that literally everything besides Dark Phoenix is good. But everything that has to do with Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey's character, is literally ass. Everything about this movie is so good other than Jean Grey's character. And that's what just pisses me off, because the movie's not called X-Men. It's called Dark Phoenix. It's been a while since I've seen the original 3 X-Men with Jean Grey. I do know that Jean Grey and Cyclops were a thing in the original 3. And the 3rd X-Men was all about Jean Grey's wrap-up. But I don't remember that shit. And I know this is kind of like a reboot, but I can't compare them because I don't really remember. I was literally like 6 years old or 8 years old when I watched that 3rd X-Men. So it's been a while. But I mean, it could have been so much better than what it was. Some other great movies came out, and I would definitely recommend seeing them before you go see Jean Grey, like Godzilla, Rocket Man. Hell, go see Pets 2 before you go see Jean Grey. They should have called it Jean Grey, pulled a Logan. It's not called Wolverine, it's called Logan. They should have just called it Jean or Grey, and then had some cool shit happen, just like in Logan. But then again, Logan had like everything to go with it, you know? It had like literally him helping children. Like, that's such a great thing to do. Like, just pull like him helping children and people will just fall in love no matter what. That's such a good, I just want to go see Logan, you know? It's just like such a good wrap up for a character. And I wish Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix would have been that same way, especially because it's 21st Century's last movie. So now what's going to happen? Well, essentially we're done with X-Men being told from 21st Century Fox. So now we're going to get a Disney-fied version of X-Men, which is really what pisses me off, because Disney X-Men is going to be exactly like Dark Phoenix is. It's going to be lighthearted. Nobody's going to give a fuck. I mean, they did kill Mystique, so that's pretty lit. Kill a character. Disney will not be killing any X-Men because it's Disney and they Disneyfy everything and they don't believe in story if it means killing someone. So that's sad. All the X-women are going to become Disney princesses. But yeah, I mean, this is a wrap-up, dude. A shitty wrap-up to a series that was all right of a reboot, I guess. 1 out of 5. Let's go into our box of apples here. Honestly, like a 2 point, like almost sour tart, you know, like a 2.3 out of 5. I really wish it was better, guys. Let me know what you guys thought of Dark Phoenix over at twitter.com/ABP_podcast. Alas, Spotify has been a G this whole time. For those that don't know, we did switch over to Podbean because it's cheaper and you can release an unlimited amount of audio files per month, all for $15 a month. So we switched over to that instead of Libsyn. But Libsyn had a cool little deal with Spotify where if you were on Libsyn, you could get on Spotify. But Spotify became a G recently, and they were like, hey, any podcast can be on our platform. So we are back on Spotify, and we do have a little following there. Actually, we got our analytics together over on Spotify, and it's looking pretty swag. So if you're listening on Spotify, thanks so much for listening to ABP on Spotify. Thank you for listening to just ABP in general, really. You guys over at Apple Podcasts, you guys over at Spotify, SoundCloud, we love you, and we thank you for listening to our podcast. We got some big things planned for our company here, Narrative Podcast. We got a lot of stuff planned, and we just can't wait for it all to come. All right, guys. Well, I'm Branden Sake. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.